Hello everybody, this is Show here. Now then, when we last left off, Deku had just gotten the electric conduit, and I believe I left him off at the age of 9. If not, yeah, I do believe the age of 9. Because I did say a year had passed whenever he was in school, and by that time, he was 7 when he got out of the simulation. He was around 8 years old, and I did let another time skip occur, where he got the electric ability. Now then, Deku is actually in school, and this is 3 weeks after he got the ability. He is still trying to master it, if not start learning more about it. As he's saying this is whenever he would just tell everyone that he's still trying to figure things out, and it's kind of hard, but then he is interrupted by someone smashing their hands on the table, shouting that they are conduits, aren't they? Or what are you two? What are all of you? As he would just say that he knows that Bakugo isn't a conduit because of its quirk, along with as he immediately looks away, trying not to say something. This is whenever Deku would just say, "So, what's the problem with their conduits? You guys are called bioterrorists. What do you think is the problem? Oh, so you think we're all wrong, or we're just not supposed to be who we are?" As Deku stands up, his eyes immediately begin glowing blue and coursing with electricity. He would quite simply just say that, "So, you think that just because we exist, we're terrorists?" As he walks over, grabbing the kid by his collar, smashing him down on the table. As the kid's nose starts bleeding, he would fall backwards, and Deku would just say, many different quirks can be dangerous. As he holds his hand up, coursing it with electricity. He would just say that, I do have to say one thing about it. This is a new ability of mine. My conduit is actually pretty neat. However, you do miss one thing. What is that? Where do I begin? Would you guys like to start? As Toru would go over saying that her conduit awakened because she was too close to a neon sign. As soon as the bombs went off that day, a couple years ago, she awakened and actually found that her entire body turned into neon. Actually able to, as she holds up her hand, turning off her quirk. Help her with this. As they are staring at her, the guy would immediately say, "So, what does that matter? You're still conduits, you're still dangerous." Kirishima would just say that whenever his conduit awakened, he was hit by a tree. If it wasn't for his hardening quirk, he would have surely died. Now, Todoroki would just say, "Oh, I don't really have a backstory or anything. I was just getting ice cream that day." As everyone was looking at him, confused, Deku would go on saying that him and Bakugo, the day the bombs went off, they were both at school in kindergarten. And, in fact, the classroom exploded. I was hit by the brunt of a blast and was blown through smoke, where my conduit forced me into an explosion. Does that sound like something a terrorist would do? Or a kindergartner would do? As he says that he is not a terrorist at all. In fact, we are the victims of an incident, and you're trying to blame us for it. So, what does that make you? What do you mean? That makes you an asshole, kid. As Deku lets go of the guy, or he just goes to sit back down. Teachers are walking in, and they would see that this boy is still yelling and trying to piss Deku off, as Deku immediately just puts out his finger, zapping him with a bit of electricity. As he does this is whenever the teachers would just tell Deku that he shouldn't do that, and in fact, this is going to have to be something different. You can't just use your quirk. Like, I'm not using a quirk, I'm using a conduit. As they would immediately correct themselves, saying, oh, so, I get it now. As Deku would just say that just because some people want power doesn't mean everyone wants it. In fact, he was perfectly fine without them. Now, as Deku would go on saying that he just wishes people would not blame him for what other conduits do. As he is saying this, the teachers would try lecturing him, as Deku would just say, oh no. You know what? I'll just leave you guys here. As there is a bright flash of static as Deku immediately just carries himself into a current through a light bulb, actually going outside the room and actually just reappearing. He's just thinking, whew, okay, well, glad I know about this now. As he immediately just runs outside and he turns from smoke, or not, he turns from to electricity once again, holding his hand out to the power lines, as he immediately just turns into an electric current and starts carrying himself through it. Now then, as he would go back to the facility, and whenever he arrives, he would actually just say, and start talking with another hero. Now, his mom would actually arrive, and she would tell Deku that that was very irresponsible, and he should not have done that. In fact, you can't just hurt people because they keep talking to you like that. As Deku would say that, the kid called me a terrorist. How do you think I'm supposed to react to that? How would you react, Mom, if people start blaming you just because somebody wants power? Now, let us do a little time skip. It has been about an entire year, and Deku has finally mastered his neon ability, along with working on his electricity. Now then, he also does work on smoke occasionally, but he's still somewhat pushy and irritated about that, along with learning more about his air and his concrete abilities. Now then, he does actually still have paper. Someone has asked that in the comments. But with the fact... Sorry guys, there is going to be a cut there now. Someone called me and they need to ask me something. No. Those are annoying. Anyways, Deku does have paper, but with the fact that he has neon, and it's faster and more versatile than paper, if not just as versatile, he doesn't really use it as much. Now then, Deku is also thinking now that he actually does need to work on a bit more of his abilities, as he would actually talk with Kirishima, asking him if he can help him with something. Kirishima would just say that he can, but he just needs to know what it is. Deku would just say that with Neon, he's actually somewhat been trying to figure out this ability. He's been able to use the Neon as a shotgun and actually use it as just regular shots, just like his smoke, but he needs his advice on making a more powerful attack. Kirishima would just say, you're only using one hand, right? Well, yeah, it's easier to aim. Why? You have another hand. Deku would immediately facepalm, realizing that he's an idiot. As Kirishima would just say, here, hang on. As he brings his hand down onto the ground, absorbing some concrete, and he immediately brings both of his hands up, actually firing at the wall. As he shows that he has a concrete barrage. Huh, well, not all of them hit where I thought I was aiming, but you get the idea. Deku sees this and he immediately brings both of his hands up, charging his neon, as soon as he lets it off, he actually falls backwards onto his ass, and there's a loud thud, as everyone comes running into the room, and Koa is actually in shock as Deku just blew a hole in the wall. Now then, they're asking what happened, and Deku would just say that he was trying to work on his abilities, but he kind of just did that. As Kirishima would just bring his hand down and immediately just put concrete where the hole is, repairing it, but it is very spiky and very, very annoying to deal with. He would just say that he can help fix that later, but Midoriya. All Might would say this, and Deku immediately turns to look at him. He would just say that you have the right idea with Neon, but you are kind of abusing that power. What do you mean? Well, you use it all the time. In fact, you use that and every other ability but your actual own. The smoke one. Well, I mean, somewhat, yeah, but what do you mean? You need to master the one you had first. Because you've already mastered Neon. Well, still are. I suggest you work on these abilities, for now. In fact, limit yourself to Smoke and Neon. Work on those two first. Your electricity one, from what I heard today, is that you are able to carry yourself through electrical currents. That is a big leap in bounds that you have just learned. So, just work on those ones. Deku would say okay, as a week later he is now using his smoke. He is still trying to figure out more ways to use it because he's already absorbed a lot of the smoke nearby. So he just now needs to figure out exactly how versatile smoke can really be. As he's just running along the top of the rooftops, jumping around, he's actually somewhat just turning into smoke when he can to get through further distances and clear the leaps and bounds. As he tries tagging with smoke. He actually just finds that this is so easy because it basically makes he can basically use it and thicken up the cloud to basically draw black paint, basically burning into whatever he tries drawing on. Now then, with that said, there is a loud explosion as Deku sees a lot of smoke rising. Deku immediately starts parkouring over there and running as he just turns himself into these three balls of smoke and immediately just dash as fast as he can. He is going and he would eventually find that there is a shop owner and stuck inside, along with civilians. He sees this and people watch as Deku lands, thinking that he caused the fire, since, well, he's smoke. As the man runs out the shop, he immediately just takes off his hoodie, throws it on the ground, and begins running. As you see fire coming off of him. Deku immediately sees this and he goes to chase after the guy, but a hero just tells Deku that he needs to stay out of the way and he'll handle this, just wait for the heroes. Deku immediately just says no, he can help, as he brings his hands up, absorbing the smoke. People watch as Deku is immediately doing this, and people are just shouting that he's a conduit, and that they need to stay clear. As a hero would move in to try and detain Deku, they immediately stop as soon as they get there, realizing Deku's actually putting out the fire. As Deku does so, he runs in, and the hero would actually help Deku as Deku picks up a giant beam covering the man and gets him out of there. As they run out of the shop, Deku puts out the rest of it, and the hero would actually say that he did good work, but he's kind of surprised. Well, why? Well, how do I put this? Okay. Conduits don't really have a good name in the city, but you did good. What do you mean conduits don't have a good name? Well, no, I mean, you know what I mean, right? With all that's going on, they call you guys terrorists. I am not a terrorist. As Deku actually just turns into smoke, dashing away. Now then, he is very annoyed as he arrives back at the facility, and he begins just switching over to concrete and making as many walls as he can. As he switches back to smoke and just begins blasting at them. People are watching Deku do this as this is now him training more intensely. Now then, he will be doing this kind of training for the next year as he now fully masters his smoke ability, along with somewhat learning more about concrete and having him on the verge of he mastered neon and smoke, and he's now diving into the realm of concrete. Now, Deku has actually gotten to a point where he can sustain being in that smoke-like pattern for somewhere around 5 to 10 minutes, but he moves very fast doing so. Now then, everyone else is doing this type of training, and All Might actually does talk with Inko, asking exactly if young Midoriya is okay, because he does know about. He heard about the incident at the store where people called him a terrorist. So, All Might, I think, ever since Hisashi died, he's been like this. Well, Miss Midoriya, I think that he just needs help. How about you talk to him? I'm not sure that would help. I'm the #1 hero. He needs a parent's help. As Inko realizes that he's right. As she walks in, she would actually ask Deku if he is okay. Deku would just say that he's fine as he switches over to concrete again and immediately just starts bringing up more walls. He actually switches over to electricity as he now begins firing electricity at the walls, actually trying to crack through them and break through them. She would just say that he's been a little off since the incident last year. Well, of course I am. Ever since I was reborn, as you guys call it, everyone, keeps treating me like I'm a goddamn villain. As Deku says this, he would immediately just say that he is not. All Might would walk into the room without being buffed up, saying that, young Midoriya, you need to learn that your actions do speak louder than words. Well, it's kind of hard to, when my actions are considered villainous. Well, yes, but young Bakugo. As Bakugo, he would walk in, and he would just tell Deku that your actions seem villainous, but think about this. What about my quirk? As Bakugo holds up his hand, blowing explosions through it. He would just say that his quirk is an explosion quirk. After a lot of things that have been going on, he has been somewhat getting annoyed with people too. So, how about this? We have a therapeutic session of beating the shit out of each other again. You know what, Bakugo, for once, you actually make sense. As these two spar off to train. Bakugo has been training with Kirishima and his hardening quirk to actually help him, along with them actually talking. Now then, Deku and Bakugo would begin fighting, and Deku's only using smoke, pulling the smoke from Bakugo's explosions. Bakugo would get annoyed as Deku would just say that he can't hit him very well, can he? As Deku just throws as many punches and actually smoke punches as hard as he can at Bakugo. They are actually getting really into the fight as All Might would eventually have to break it up. as Deku is fighting too intensely. Now, after this, Deku would actually have to leave. He would immediately switch over to Neon, actually running out as fast as he can. I want to say that since Neon is considered light, he wouldn't move at light speed, but since in the video game you basically move at the pace of a faster than a person running, I want to at least put him around 70 to 80 miles an hour. So he's still under Quirk speed, if not still at Quirk level. But this is just him on a casual run. Him going at his highest, I want to put him around above Ida's speed. Basically, like, if he really wanted to go as fast as he can go at least 150. Since Toru has been helping him master Neon more. Alrighty. Let's see. What else should I go over? No, I do believe that should be about it. Anyway, guys, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and yes, this has been a little annoying because I had to re-record. I thought that my mic was unmuted, but it was not. I use my headset that I use to record to actually watch videos, and sometimes I fiddle with this thing. So I may have muted myself earlier today when I was recording. So I had to redo this part. So I'm sorry that it took so long. Just know I made a mistake. Now, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys in the next part.